Our final speaker is a former second-round pick of the New Orleans Saints out of Arkansas, as Norman alluded to. He played for the Saints from 1983 through 1990 and played very well at center and guard. Was on a pair of playoff teams during that time. He now co-hosts a pregame show for Saints broadcast for WWL Radio. Of course, the Saints open the NFL season Thursday night against the Minnesota Vikings in the Superdome. Please give a very warm New Orleans Quarterback Club welcome to Steve Korte. Steve?
Glad to be here again. I guess we got to wait for Thursday night, so see y'all later. No, no, I appreciate it. You know, I get asked a lot. I'm fortunately going into my 6th year doing this First Take show with WWL, and it's been a great, just really good opportunity for me from the standpoint. It sort of keeps me in the loop and kind of keeps me kind of doing what I love and kind of watching the game that I love, and kind of gets me into the, I guess maybe the inner circles of it, keeps me in there. So that's the part I enjoy about it. But you know, if I sort of look and kind of look back, and I guess the questions that I'm asked most often, you know, in this off season since the Saints won the Super Bowl, is the fact that, you know, can they repeat? Can they do it again? You know, and you know, I mean, if everybody had the answer to that question, that'd be terrific. But you know, the answer to it is absolutely. They certainly can do it again. You know, now, will they? Well, we're going to find out. And I can tell you that there's really no reason why you look at sort of the Saints and what their roster is, and sort of the guys that they have at this point that are, you know, manning the ship, especially with number 9 in control there. And then, you know, obviously you have a personnel guy that continually sort of loads the gun with terrific players and people that really are sort of overlooked by a lot of their teams, and they stick with them and develop them. That speaks volumes, and I can't tell you what that's done to that organization, because at this level, depth is one thing that most NFL teams don't have. You have your starting 11, and then behind that, you don't have much. You know, and if you can have depth after your starting 11, and I think the Saints do. Case in point, their offensive line over the past couple of years, I was on them hard. I mean, that's one thing that I continue to watch. And you know, they were beaten up for not being able to run the football, and likely they should have been, because they weren't, and they weren't balanced very well. What do they end up doing? They end up, you know, pulling up a guy named Nix, who ends up, you know, a guy that dropped down in the draft status because of some problems he had, and he seems to be playing as well as Jari Evans, when, you know, maybe the guy that everybody now is sort of saying, hey, this may be the best guard in the league. So that's just one case in point where I see sort of everybody sort of stepping up and kind of getting on the same page and becoming a little more comfortable with what's going on. Now that they've achieved this level, I think there's probably 2 things there. Now, this is coming from a guy that didn't go to a Super Bowl. Okay, so understand that. But I have played at football for many years and understand that once you sort of raise the bar to a certain level, there's a certain confidence and a certain expectation that club has, and obviously the coaching staff as well. And I think that anything short of doing this is going to be a disappointment to them. Now, the flip side of that is you now are the hunted. You're not hunting anymore, you're the hunted. And I can tell you that we played a lot of games and a lot of teams over my career that were Super Bowls, and that sort of gave you an extra little bit of juice each and every week as you got ready for these guys. It was something that you said, we're going to find out how good we are against these guys that we've been watching all year long and been hearing about, and we're sick and tired of hearing about them. We're going to see how good we are. So that's something that I think you can count on, and I think the Saints are going to step up accordingly and answer that challenge. So I feel good about it. We didn't lose really a lot of people this year. Now, what we lost a lot right now, to me, was our big play capability in our secondary. But I think that was probably more indicative of not only the experience that Sharper has, but the fact that we were getting a lot of pressure. And I think anytime you get a lot of pressure on any kind of cornerback in this league, I think it makes them look pretty ordinary. So as far as preseason is concerned, and if you've listened to me before, I don't get real excited about it one way or the other for it. I hated playing in the games and sort of wanted to get in, get my reps, and then get off the field without getting hurt. I never could quite figure out why they sort of wanted to handicap you for 4 weeks and then sort of throw you out there and say, okay, now it's time to go, now that we've kind of knocked you down a few rungs. but it is one of those necessary evils, and it is a necessary evil for young guys. And that always sort of segues into the fact everybody says, what do you think about the 18-game season? Well, it's a reality. It's going to happen. I can tell you that. Anytime there's money involved in it and the way the owners are, and you can rest assured that the NFL is a big business and they're looking to make as much as they can, they're going to do it. I think it's great because I think fans, for by and large, don't like watching preseason games anyway. Why would you want to pay regular season prices for preseason games? And I don't understand it either. So, but there is that other side of it that you say, hey, well, are the younger guys going to get a look? And they always come back and say, well, we have the OTAs, we have so much practice time with them. It's different now than it was. You still can't replicate game speed. I don't care what you do. You can try. You can do whatever you can do on the practice field and try to do what you want to do as far as trying to do that. You can't replicate game speed. So we'll see how it shakes out. It's going to be interesting. It's coming one way or another. That's the way it's going to be. So as far as the rookies are concerned, this roster is as mature and developed as it is. It's going to be hard for a rookie to bust in here. And I mean, the first round guy, they're going to throw him to the wolves a little bit. I mean, they have to. Second round guy, he's not ready yet. But I can just tell you that's sort of a good sign from the standpoint of the Saints. They're pretty well loaded. So the rookies coming in are going to have to wait their turn, and they're going to learn from the best. So I think that's a good sign. As far as sort of the guys I think that are probably, I guess, maybe teams, not guys, that I think are probably contending this year. If you look at the NFC, right off the bat, I think everybody looks at Green Bay and says, that's a legitimate team. From what I saw in the preseason, that's a team that's going to be somebody that we're going to have to deal with at some point. Obviously, the Saints are going to be there. The team that scares me to death is the Falcons. We have to pay them twice, and they scare me to death. I think that the fact that their quarterback is kind of coming into his own, and they've done what they've done, they look like they're kind of primed to sort of take a lead spot. The Cowboys, I'm not convinced that they've got it yet. I'm just really not. I think that they're a tremendously talented squad. I just don't know why they can't get over the hump of kind of getting to that next level. The bad part about that is I don't think the Saints match up very well against them. Never have. Their defensive front for somehow has our number, and I don't know why. It's one of those things that you have to sort of look at on film and kind of figure out physically why one guy won't specifically match up with the other, and sometimes that's all it takes. But Minnesota's another team. I think once when Favre re-entered the mix here, I think that kind of obviously threw them right back into the mix of being a team that can sort of take it the whole way. AFC, I think Colts are going to be the same. I think Baltimore's a team that's really on the rise. The Chargers look good. I think the team that maybe everybody's always saying right now is going to be great as the Jets. Who knows? That could be a fabrication. We don't know that yet. That Hard Knocks thing drives me crazy when I watch it, but it's still entertaining. I think the Dolphins are going to be a team to be reckoned with. They're starting to look and smell and kind of act like a Parcells-coached run organization, and I look for them to start making. I don't know if you look at New England and the Jets and the NFC East, the AFC East, and you think, wow, those are the two teams. I don't think it is. I think it's going to be the Dolphins this year, but we'll have to find out. We'll wait and see. That's for sure. As far as Thursday night's concerned, this is sort of been waiting for it. I mean, I can't think of a better game and a better scenario than this. And it seems like New Orleans sort of does it better than anybody else. So it's perfect. It's a perfect setup for us. I've been listening to some of the smack recently about the same old thing about borderline dirty and all that kind of stuff. I don't buy that. I mean, that's loser talk to me. And I don't know if he's trying to just get under somebody's skin or if, in fact, he really means that. To me, that's real teams don't say that. I mean, come on. Offensive and defensive line is where it's won. And it's, again, this year is going to be the same thing. Defensive line for Minnesota is truly the Williams guys are as well as Jared Allen. They can bring some heat that just is, I don't know, top two in the league, I would think. So they scare me to death. I think that's the issue we faced, and that was the issue we faced last time. I think when we beat them in the playoff game, that was the best team. I truly wasn't worried about the Colts. I thought we had that game won once we kind of passed Minnesota. That's just my own feeling there. But Obviously, Favre against our secondary and against Williams' schemes. I mean, that's going to be that in a nutshell as far as when you look at that side of the ball. I think they're going to try to hit him a lot. I think it worked for him the first time, and I don't see why they would change the recipe. It'll look differently, but the result will be the same. You know, we got to get him down, and then we'll get him on the ground. So that's the key to me, and I think so. At this point, I think we sort of have to wait for Thursday night. I mean, I can't wait for it. I'm on WWL 4 hours before game time each and every Sunday, or in this instance, Thursday. But at that point, I'll have some more things and some more definitive answers as the schedules, or not schedules, but as the rosters sort of clear up and we figure out who the starters are going to be. So, any questions, anybody? Yeah. Yeah. He wants to know about what happened to Patrick Ramsey. You know, said the guy's obviously an NFL veteran, good player, you know, talented guy, and you know what's the deal? That's a numbers thing, and I think a part of it's money, always, you know, and it always is. They don't ever let him say that his money wasn't a part of it, because it always is. But I can tell you that when you sort of handpick a guy like Chase Daniels, and they saw him kind of go to that team, and then they said, well, if you get a chance to get this guy from Washington, and I think we were sort of waiting to kind of see if he would surface, and he did. I think that was a Peyton move on that part. And I think if you sort of watch him, he's emulating each and everything number 9 does. From the way he walks into the camp, to the way he lifts weights, to the way he eats lunch. I mean, he's doing everything the way number 9 does, and I can't think of a better guy to emulate. And it's starting to show up on the field. And I think there was a big question mark as to, we see this guy all the time in practice and what he can do in practice, but you know, what's he like when they start shooting really bullets at him? You know, how's he going to react? And I think that we saw flashes of it this preseason. I think they want to continue to develop him. So I think when you got an older guy like Ramsey coming in, I think he's a guy that they think might still be out there, should, knock on wood, something happen, that they can pick him up, and he's a quick enough study, and probably learned it already, that he'll be able to come in and sort of pick up pace. I don't know if you turn over, you know, the reins to a young guy at that point, but I think it's a numbers issue. There's 53 guys. You can't keep that many. So that's, and again, I'm speculating on that. I'm probably not money, but I'm circling around it. Any other questions? Roman Harper, yeah. Well, I think that you've probably seen those guys probably develop some, you know, from the standpoint. And again, I don't know. I think they put him on the physically unable to perform list, didn't they? Well, that means that he can come back in 6 games. So I think they feel like, you know, let's give this guy a little bit more time. We feel like he's still not 100% or 80% or whatever. They feel like he's capable of playing, to kind of give him what they're looking for back there. And I think that if they give him an extra 6 weeks, that may be just enough to sort of get him over the hump. At that point, they're going to have to cut somebody. But at that point, I think, you know, you probably give yourself a better shot than putting him out there now and either re-injuring it. I'm sorry? Yeah, that's, man, I can tell you that each year you play, it's there's a cumulative effect. You know, trust me, it's Tuesdays used to be a good day for me, and then Tuesdays turned into just like every other day, full of pain. So the longer that you get down the road. So I speculate that it's probably something like that. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you so much.